Welcome to a very special episode of the History of Fox Kids. What you will need is a shot glass and an alcoholic beverage. Or, for those kiddos underage, a delightful non-alcoholic beverage. Hurry to the kitchen and get them now. What are you doing? You're taking too long! You're going to miss out! Are you ready? Good. I probably should have told you to pause the video while you were getting that. My bad. Today we are going to take a shot whenever a character that voiceover actor Charlie Adler voices appears on the screen, or a situation involving Charlie in a show that shows up. You know when it's time to take a shot when you hear this whisper. Charlie Adler. Let's try it now. Charlie Adler. Good. Let's begin.
Hey, now tell me what's the commotion?
It's a hot party that rocks.
You got to come see all the excitement.
Everything is happening on Fox. Each new day's another adventure. Heroes, mutants, and hot shots. We are always ready for action. Everything is happening on Fox. Fox Kids. Fox Kids. Fox Kids.
Fox Kids. We've got lots and lots of surprises.
We've got fun that never stops.
You'll find the craziest tools you can ask for.
Everything is happening on Fox. Come join us for all the excitement, thrills, and fun. Yeah, we're the top. Now you know the place to be right here. Everything is happening on Fox. Fox Kids. Fox Kids, you mean?
Fox Kids.
Fox Kids. On Fox Kids.
Before we get to the shows, we have to talk about a certain person. If we are talking about Fox Kids, then we have to talk about Margaret Loesch. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. She was at Fox Kids from the start in 1990, until she left after the merger of Fox Kids and Saban Entertainment, and the creation of Fox Family Channel. Before Fox, Loesch worked for Marvel Entertainment, where she struggled to get a certain superhero team onto our TV sets. While Fox Kids was doing fine on weekday afternoons, Saturday mornings was a different story. They needed something to boost their ratings. Luckily, Loesch remembered a certain superhero team, and in the fall of 1992, showed a sneak preview of what would be the show that got Fox's Saturday morning lineup off the map. X-Men was a very important cartoon for a number of reasons. It dealt with diversity, fears, and bigotry. A number of cartoons have dealt with these before, but not in the way X-Men did. X-Men was the show that took Fox Kids from number 3 to number 1 on Saturday mornings. It drew teenagers and adults away from hit TV shows like Saved by the Bell and California Dreams on NBC. And most importantly, it did what no other network was doing at the time. Having new episodes beyond the first 13 weeks of the season. As Fox Kids grew, it learned that they didn't have to air all of its new cartoons all at once. They learned how to spread out their episodes so they can keep kids waiting in anticipation for when the next new episode would air. And with X-Men having a sneak preview in November of 92, and the full-blown series in the winter of 93, kids would have new episodes from Fox Kids that CBS and ABC did not. This also started a trend with Fox Kids, airing one new series during mid-season. They did this with Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego, Spider-Man the Animated Series, Casper, Erie, Indiana, Silver Surfer, and Woody Woodpecker. If you notice a trend here, don't be surprised. All of these mid-season replacements are based off of pre-existing ideas from comic books, video games, movies, and TV shows. In fact, Erie, Indiana was a show that was in its third run when it came to Fox Kids. I doubt that's a coincidence. As for X-Men itself, it proved that you could have a dark superhero cartoon with an overarching storyline and plot and be popular with kids.
Fighting for human mutant peace has just become more dangerous.
Stop the philosophy. Let's go kick his butt.
The show was amazing, from the theme song to the animation, up until the last 6 episodes, to the storyline. The minute you start watching, you were hooked. We cared about what pains Wolverine was going through physically and emotionally.
All right, you egg-sucking piece of gutter trash. You always liked pushing around people smaller than you. Well, I'm smaller. Try pushing me!
You felt sorry for Rogue, the girl who could not feel the touch of another human being. We kept asking, why do bad things keep happening to Cyclops and Jean's relationship? We keep wondering why no one slaps Jubilee. We were completely invested in this cartoon and the lives of these characters.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, well,
This series that was constantly turned down by other networks because they thought it would be too adult and be over kids' heads. This series that had other networks saying that only teenagers and adults would watch it. And they said teenagers and adults don't watch cartoons. Those networks were proven wrong. X-Men started something that was so big that ABC had to rethink Saturday mornings. And CBS bowed out of mainstream Saturday morning cartoons altogether. Perhaps, just perhaps, they should have listened to Margaret. You know what kids love? An extremely violent title sequence! Wait a minute! I said I wouldn't recycle old jokes! Sadly, most of the title sequence is kind of a copy of Eat the Cats. Super Dave Daredevil for Hire was created by Bob Einstein, who performed a live-action version of Super Dave. Fox seemed to have kind of a thing for this guy in the early 90s. He would pretend to do crazy live-action stunts where it appears that he would get hurt from them. He turned that into a cartoon for Fox Kids. It's a human version of Eat the Cat, only with too much talking. Add in the fact that both Einstein and his comedy partner Art Iwasawa, who provided the voice for Super Dave's assistant, Fuji Hakahito, are not great at voice acting.
Aha! Good work, Super Spot! Super! You have to get on that horse costume! Yoo-hoo! Fuji! I'm over here! Oh, sorry, Delvin. I couldn't tell.
In fact, Fuji might be considered racist by today's standards, which is interesting since Fuji's voice actor had to redub the character for the cartoon to tone him down because of complaints.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And Fuji, what tricks will I be doing on the yo-yo?
You want to do strip, walk dog, rock the cradle, loop the loop, and then finish with spectacular quadruple around the world.
Oh, that sounds sensational.
Apparently there are villains in the show, because reasons.
Thanks for flying Slash Hazard Airlines.
Slash Hazard? Now it all makes sense!
Charlie Adler. Like Eek, Super Dave is constantly hurt. But there is so much talking that it ends up being boring and not really funny at all. The episode I watched just dragged on, and I wanted it to end. The show lasted for 13 episodes for good reasons. In the 93-94 season, Fox Kids came out with 4.5 new series. All but one of them became a success. Guess which one I'm talking about first. Droopy Master Detective is an actual spin-off of Tom and Jerry Kids, as the series both had Droopy and Dribble.
That's my papa!
Charlie Adler. Both of whom I did not care for in Tom and Jerry Kids. But let's see how Master Detective treated them. First, let's just say Fox did the obvious thing by having the series follow Dog City. The show is a mix of new Droopy cartoons along with some of the old cartoons from Tom and Jerry Kids, and added new cartoons of a classic cartoon character. We'll get to him soon. So basically this is the show. Take everything from the Droopy and Dribble cartoons from Tom and Jerry Kids and put a detective outfit on them. That's the show. All the characters are there. Droopy, Dribble, Miss Favoom. Seriously, not even the classic Droopy cartoons have this intentional objectivity in them. And McWolf. The title sequence makes the show look interesting and different, but it's not. You have all these villains, but it's hard to find an episode that doesn't involve McWolf, who grows very tiring to see. And then you have to add the third cartoon featuring the classic takes every character, Screwball Squirrel. Charlie Adler. or more commonly known as Screwy Squirrel, a mean-spirited squirrel who delights in tormenting others. He is a bit toned down in these new cartoons, as the focus is less on him and more on the antagonist, a park ranger and his dog. And it's not terrible. I was kind of worried because Charlie does tend to be rather annoying when playing these over-the-top characters, especially when they're not written as well as Buster Bunny is. It's a classic, predictable cartoon.
Hold it! Hold everything! Now, let us just stop and think things through, fellows.
But Droopy Master Detective did not last long, only lasting 13 episodes. While the detective aspect is an interesting touch, it does seem like the same old with Droopy. As for Screwball, well, another squirrel character showed up this year, which kind of stole his thunder. Master Detective was pulled from Saturday morning after 4 months, and finished its run that following August. Quick note, this is the second to last cartoon that Hanna-Barbera did on network television. The last cartoon? Would you be happy to know that we live in a world where an animated series based off of the movie Dumb and Dumber exists on ABC? Seriously, no wonder Disney took over the following year.
Droopy the Master Detective.
We now pause the video for some music from legendary rock group Twisted Sister. Please don't claim me.
Free to catch the two humans. They're gonna make your day. Here comes Doc, Squad, and Cutter. You best get out of their way. They're terrible Thunderlizards. They're terrible Thunderlizards.
The Terrible Thunderlizards is the second short to be on Extravaganza. It was produced by Savage Studios, Nirvana, and Fox Children's Productions. It features the adventures of 3 bumbling dinosaur mercenaries who were released from imprisonment to do away with 2 humans that the dinosaurs view as a threat to their well-being.
Hey, Bill, did you see that shooting star? Boy, it's a big one. Make a wish, buddy.
Oh, yes, I'll make a wish, all right, Scooter. And oh, what a glorious wish it is.
Charlie Adler. The humans themselves come into their own as they experiment on simply existing and moving their evolution along. It's a great show that could have stand on its own beyond Eek the Cat. And at the beginning, it did, airing after X-Men as one of 2 temporary placeholders until another new show started in February.
Each of you take a seat now.
Well, that's really nice.
That's very kind of you, sir. Thank you. We're touched.
See ya.
I mean, sit in the chairs here, now.
After 4 seasons with 36 episodes, the Terrible Thunderlizards became X on the air. What?
And now a message totally for kids.
Public service announcements are edutainment shorts that were designed to entertain and educate. I believe they were created to cover an FCC law that was passed in the 1970s. There were some that were presented in syndication as well as on all 3 networks. They usually lasted about a length of an average commercial and was usually provided by the Ad Council. And then there were those that were network exclusives. NBC had One to Grow On and The More You Know. CBS had CBS Cares. ABC had Time for Timers, Zack of All Trades, Schoolhouse Rock, and so many others. Heck, the Looney Tunes had PSAs.
The Constitution works for everyone, even kids.
Cartoons even had their own PSAs. Sonic the Hedgehog had Sonic Says. Of course, this didn't stop the show from rotting your brains beforehand. And most famously, G.I. Joe had Knowing is Half the Battle.
Now I know. And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
So when Fox Kids started, they themselves had PSAs called Messages Totally for Kids. Doesn't that just scream the 90s? But yeah, the Totally Kids PSAs were on Fox Kids from the start, and lasted until 97 or 98. Gee, I wonder what happened. Instead of cartoons, they used kids who the network dressed as the Fresh Prince.
Wow, she knows code 5.
Always loved that sideways cap. The first season, they would call the kids the Totally Kids Detective Agency. and they had John Walsh from America's Most Wanted working alongside the kids. Sure, at times they were campy, but they were entertaining and had good messages. They steered away from learning about math, science, and history and talked about children's safety. They talked about unwanted touching, secrets, the dangers of having your name on your shirt, and calling 911 and more. Compared to other PSAs, these were really important. Later on, they ditched the detective agency and started to tackle social issues like sensitivity, loneliness, experience, and others. Again, important topics. And then it got weird. Remember, Fox Kids is supposed to cater to kids, and suddenly we have this.
Having a baby is a major experience. It can change your whole life. Some girls at school my age are having babies. But I know I'm not ready. But I sure can't wait to meet my new baby sister.
Neither can I.
What was that? We are talking about teenage pregnancy. There are also PSAs about a high schooler being a father. I'm sorry, but what is our intended audience? I can understand if Fox Kids was supposed to be for high schoolers, but it's not. I know high schoolers watched it, but so did a lot of kids. How close were they before they were going to say sex can wait? Talk about unprotected sex and STDs after airing that episode of Bobby's World. Later on, Fox Kids will use PSAs from the Power Rangers. It's pretty much more of the same. Social issues and child safety. But kids might get more out of them if it came from characters they knew. Fox Kids PSAs may not be as memorable as Schoolhouse Rocks and The Chopper, but kids could relate to them more.
Very interesting.
If you follow wrestling, then you are familiar with the term took their ball and went home. This is when popular wrestlers were fed up with how WWE was treating them and left the company. It happened to Steve Austin, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Alberto Del Rio, and Goldberg Jr.? Oh wait, I said popular. The same could be said with what happened behind the scenes for the next show with Warner Brothers. Because of an actor from Tiny Toons assumed he was going to be offered a role in the series, but didn't, took his ball and went home, leaving Tiny Toons. Charlie Adler. Because of the treatment of Batman the Animated Series by Fox Kids during the series' third season, Warner Brothers took their ball, or this series, and went home to their new network, Kids WB. The series in question, Steven Spielberg Presents Animaniacs. Animaniacs was created by Tom Ruegger and was produced by Steven Spielberg. It was an instant hit that lasted for 5 seasons. The show was reminiscent of the golden age of animation, since it was an anthology of 10 different cartoons in one series. Because of so many different cartoons in one show, it probably would not have worked on just Saturday mornings. That is why it needed that weekday afternoon time slot. The show consists of Pinky and the Brain, 2 lab mice who desired to take over the world. Pinky and the Brain was so popular that it spun off into another popular cartoon.
Going back to the cage to get some rest for tomorrow night.
What, Brain? What are we going to do tomorrow night?
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Slappy the squirrel who stole Screwball Squirrel's thunder. Slappy was an older cartoon character from the Golden Age with a short temper and wisdom, who shows her nephew Skippy, played by Tom Ruegger's son, the ins and outs of cartoon comedy. Goodfeathers, a parody of Goodfellas featuring mobster pigeons. Buttons and Mindy, the dog and little girl cartoon where Buttons try to keep Mindy safe and ends up getting hurt in the process. Katie Kaboom was a teenager with a short fuse that turned into a monster whenever things don't go her way. Chicken Boo was a giant chicken in disguise who everyone loved but was constantly being called out by that one guy. You know who that guy is. The Hip Hippos were 2 hip and trendy hippos that were rarely used. They even had a foil, but she was used even less. Then there was Minerva Mink, who was so oversexed that Fox Kids determined her cartoons to be too mature for their intended audience. So only 2 of her cartoons were made. And then there was Rita and Runt. Rita and Runt were a cat and dog team looking for a home. The highlight of each episode was Rita would sing. Rita was played by Bernadette Peters, who was a huge singer at the time. However, because of her salary, the Rita and Runt shorts were stopped after the first season. And then there were the Warner Brothers and their sister, Dot. Modeled off of the old Bosco and Honey cartoon characters in the 1930s, the Warners had the wit and charisma of Bugs Bunny, and the playfulness of Huey, Dewey, and Louie. The Warners would go all over the world in time, meeting historical characters such as Einstein and Howard Stern. Yep, Stern's gotten to the point where he's a historical character now. They also like to play, and I use the term loosely, with their psychiatrist, Dr. Scratch-a-Sniff, which is a great name.
I think it's time we got down to business, yeah?
Now our first quarter figures are really low, as there's a business graph will hopefully show.
What are you doing?
We're getting down to business.
There were jokes that were meant for both adults and kids, with a lot of catchphrases.
The hills are quite full of big rocks and boulders.
Hello, nurse!
Nice singing.
Hey, wanna watch me pretend to throw up?
It made for an excellent mix with songs, humor, and more. Then the second season came. Unlike Batman and Tasmania, Animaniacs didn't have a 5-year contract with Fox Kids. So when Fox pulled Batman from weekday afternoons to Saturday morning in favor of another show, Warner Brothers got mad. But they couldn't take Batman away from Fox Kids due to contractual reasons. But they could with Animaniacs. During the show's third season, Animaniacs was pulled from Fox Kids to Warner Brothers' new network, Kids WB. However, Animaniacs never did catch the same success on the WB as they did with Fox. Sure, they had an audience, but the audience they got was not necessarily the one they wanted. More on that later.
Stop!
Time out.
When will this insanity end? When one of us answers the phone, silly.
I did not know that.
Time in.
Animaniacs, when it was on Fox, was one of the top 4 most popular series on Fox Kids, next to Batman, X-Men, and one other.
Totally insane.
Here's a show's naming.
Animaniacs. Those are the facts.
So you're the Fox Network Senior VP of Sales. You're responsible for finding advertisers for shows on your network. You see a show that was just bought by Fox Kids and you freak out. It's too weird, it's too violent. The advertisers would view your networks as a joke. You beg to have it put on the shelf. But you're not listening to Margaret, are you? After all, the creators of the series spent 5 years shopping it around, and they finally got a bite. Margaret convinces you to show the show at the Fox Kids up front. Always listen to Margaret. It's hard to believe that this actually happened. Because the network senior VP of sales panicking, this show almost didn't make it on the air.
After 10,000 years, I'm free. It's time to conquer Earth.
Alpha, we just escaped. Recruit a team of teenagers with attitudes.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was created by Saban Entertainment. It was goofy. It was violent. It was the 90s. It was a guilty pleasure. I'm going to be brief on this because there are people who are more qualified than I who can talk about this series. Oh, who am I kidding? I loved this series back when I was 15. I'm not really sure why. Maybe for the same reasons why I liked the Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows movie. It was goofy fun. You didn't have to think. I'll be honest, the first 1/2 seasons were the best until they brought the unrememberable Power Rangers on. You know who they are. The best parts of the series were the introduction of the Green Ranger, Tommy loses his power, Tommy returns, the introduction of Lord Zed, and Bulk and Skull. There was almost a Bulk and Skull series. That would have been awesome!
Oh, Lord said, give me another chance! I will not fail again!
Quit! Those Power Rangers are nothing but mere infants!
were defeated by children! You dare call yourself an Empress of Evil? You are not fit to destroy a cockroach!
I have always said that, my lord.
You gold-bellied rat!
For the most part, the stories are predictable. The teens are put into an unrealistic 90s situation. Rita or Zed causes trouble sending putties. The putties get defeated. Monster shows up.
It's morphin' time!
Mastodon!
Pterodactyl!
Triceratops!
Saber-tooth tiger!
Tyrannosaurus!
Let's
do it! Power Rangers!
Monster gets defeated, but wait! Rita or Zed grows the monster. Zoids are called, monster is defeated. Teens return to unrealistic lives. In almost every episode. Do I think the series is a masterpiece? No. The writing is awful, the acting is goofy, as well as the action scenes. Do I think it's fun? Yes. Do I have high hopes for the movie? No. Here's the thing about Power Rangers. They never went away. Every year we get new actors and actresses to be Power Rangers for the past 23 years. In order for me to enjoy a Power Rangers movie, I have to actually miss the Power Rangers. And I cannot do that if they are still on the air. What's even more is this movie is set in this decade. Wouldn't it be fun if it was set in the 90s like the original series? That would set the cast apart from Super Mega Samurai Dino Charge. But nope, they decided not to do that. And I'm not going to talk about the questionable actor choices. We have a black nerd for that. Hopefully this movie won't go the way of Ghostbusters as far as making its money back. Back to Mighty Morphin. It was a hit that caused all kinds of knockoffs that didn't last past a year, with the exception of VR Troopers and Big Bad Beetleborg. The series lasted on Fox for the rest of Fox Kids' life. And we will talk about the other spin-off Power Rangers series, starting with Zeo. Who knew mixing footage from a Japanese Sentai footage with local footage would become a monster hit? Saban and Fox didn't know. They thought it would be over within a year.
We were pretty lucky this time.
It's kind of too bad when they didn't change outfits when they changed Zoids for the second and third season. We would still have the monsters in Lord Zed. We would just have different costumes. Who would have thought that this monster hit almost didn't make it on the air? I have one question.
Where on earth is Carmen Sandiego?
Well, that's a silly question. She's on PBS.
Well, she sneaks about the world from Marimba to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered filter from Berlin.
As most of us know, many things changed in the industry in the 1990s. One of those things was the Children's Television Act of 1990. Now, before you get on your high horse and say, oh, the act that killed Saturday mornings, I'll say this. Saturday morning cartoons lasted over 20 years after this act was enacted. What killed Saturday mornings was the introduction of easy access cartoons on cable network television and on-demand cartoons on the internet, which caused a decline in ratings on Saturday mornings. Cartoons were not making their money back, like the Ghostbusters movie. The Children's Television Act is just a scapegoat and nothing more. However, because of this act, Fox was forced to produce an educational program to cover the 3-hour requirement that the FCC had for networks to show educational cartoons. Thus, Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego was created. The game show, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, was extremely popular at the time, and Fox felt that they could capitalize on the popularity as well as fulfill the FCC requirements. Amazingly, this show was both educational and fun to watch, like Word Girl. But there were problems. Because of Fox's reputation of having violent cartoons such as Batman, X-Men, and Power Rangers, every script had to be inspected by Broderbund Software, who created and owned the Carmen Sandiego franchise at the time.
I wondered what was taking you so long. What a shame you're too late to stop me from stealing this ancient canteen we once saved together.
PBS never had to deal with this because Rotobone Software fully trusted them. Again, much like X-Men, Carmen Sandiego was a mid-season show based off of a well-known series. It features two detectives, Zack and Ivy, trying to put together clues, trying to figure out what Carmen's next crimes would be. It was really exciting to explore the world and not have the show talk down to the audience. One of the best things about Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego was the Chief, played by... Roger Bumpus, who is unfortunately more famous for his portrayal of Squidward on SpongeBob. I say unfortunately because I feel his work on Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego is amazing. Mixed with great writing, the amazing voice acting, and wonderful visuals, the Chief could give Aladdin's genie a run for his money.
Italia, home of the Roman Colosseum, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and the city of Venice, built on 120 islands connected by canals.
Hey, Leonardo Da Vinci! I spent part of one whole summer studying all his famous works, Chief.
Then you know this dude was like the main brain of the late 14 and early 1500s in Europe, the original Renaissance man.
Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa, engineered a bunch of neat inventions, was a scientist, architect, sculptor, inventor.
Quarterback for a pro football franchise?
Chief.
Just wanted to see who's listening.
But if he was around today, Da Vinci might have even tried that. This guy played all the possibilities, Chief.
Leonardo, he's our man. If he can't draw it, paint it, sculpt it, build it, no one can.
Too bad he was so busy he never actually got around to building that flying machine of his.
Now, if there was one constant about this show, it could never escape the 11:30 time slot.
That Carmen Sandiego always has one last move, doesn't she?
Well, we have the last move in this game, officer.
Fox Kids tried plenty of times to move it. 10:30, 8:30, and so on. But it seems to always end up back at 11:30. The final nail for the series was when Fox moved the series to weekday mornings, where it would air half a year before being replaced by reruns of Peter Pan and the Pirates. Carmen Sandiego lasted for 4 years and 40 episodes. Something interesting happened in cartoons from the years 1992 to 1998. The theory that networks had that teenagers and adults do not watch children's cartoons was blown completely out of the water. Because of this, the children's animation industry changed twice. Once when they started airing shows like Tiny Toons, X-Men, Batman, and Animaniacs, when the shows were not only drawing children in, but adults as well. If a children's cartoon was written well and animated well, teenagers and adults would watch them. But that became a problem as well. After all, Fox Kids was Fox Kids. And Kids WB was Kids WB. They weren't supposed to have adult viewers. This became a big issue with Fox Kids and Kids WB's sponsors because teenagers and adults do not buy what they sell. Since the sponsors control the money to put on these cartoons, something had to be done. Slowly, these shows started to fade out, even in the height of their popularity. The very first victim? Well, I have one word to say about this show. The Tick was created by Ben Edlund and produced by Sunbow Entertainment, Graz Entertainment, and Fox Children's Productions. The intent of the series was to capitalize on the popularity of independent comics being turned into hit cartoon series like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The Tick featured The Tick, who is an over-anxious, philosophical superhero, and his simple-minded but rational sidekick Arthur.
It's our new secret message cannon. Go ahead. Ask me how it works. Okay, I'll tell you. First, write a secret message. Then, place the message into the secret message shell. Load, select target, and fire. That ought to wake up the boys at the diner.
You are a kind and generous person. Your lucky numbers are 3, 7, and 42?
The series had great spoof characters based off of Batman, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman.
if it isn't American made, the world's most patriotic domestic. This looks like a job for Deflator Mouse, not some mop squeezer. Why don't you go scrub out a toilet somewhere?
Why don't you go smell up some cave?
People! There's a dam about to blow up!
It had great villains like Elseed and Shareface Chippendale. The problem was, while the cartoon was popular, it was too over kids' heads, so they didn't watch. But teenagers and adults did.
Good heavens, Arthur, look! Soren and Fred dangling in the same pair of pants! What perversity is this? That does it, Arthur!
Fox Kids really tried to make it appeal to kids with their advertisements, but it didn't work. So the series ran for 1 full year, was put on hiatus after all of the second season aired, being replaced by reruns of Killer Tomatoes, and then had most of the third season aired before being canceled, and then have it revived again for 2 weeks, only to have it canceled completely. There was even a 4th season planned too. Fox knew the series was popular, but instead of moving the animated series to primetime, they did a live-action series, which was quickly canceled. Now another live-action series of The Tick is being produced for Amazon, which is kind of a head-scratcher.
Well, all this and a villain, too.
You'll never prove a thing, Copper. I'm just a part-time electrician. Bad is good, baby! Down with government!
Perhaps, since Disney now owns the animated series, they can't do another animated series of The Tick outside of Disney. The Tick lasted for 3 seasons with 36 episodes.
Hey now, Carmen, what's the commotion?
It's a hot party that rocks.
You've got to come see all the excitement.
Everything is happening on Fox. Each new day's another adventure. Heroes, mutants, and hot shots. We are always ready for action. Everything is happening on Fox. Fox Kids! Fox Kids! Fox Kids!
Fox Kids! We've got lots and lots of surprises.
We got fun that never stops.
You'll find the brave with tools you can ask for.
Everything is happening on Fox. Come join us for all the excitement, thrills, and fun. Yeah, with this top. Now you know the place to be right here. Everything is happening on Fox. Fox Kids! Fox Kids!
Fox Kids!
Fox Kids! On Fox! Kids!
I now have a Patreon account. This is where you can show your support and help me to improve my content by becoming a Patreon. You can get rewards by supporting me, such as seeing content before it's released, exclusive artwork, make requests for reviews, and you can even take part in a review. A link to this and all of my social media accounts are in the description. Thanks for watching. I'm Toonamp. It's time for me to tune out.